Major funding for NJTV News is provided in part by the members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child, and PSE&G. We make things work for communities.
Tonight on NJTV News, calculating the cost of energy.
The governor signs a package of bills promoting nuclear subsidies and green energy.
Governor Murphy wants to reinstitute the position of Deputy Executive Director at the Port Authority. Is he looking out for Jersey, or is he setting us up for another Bridgegate?
Momentum may be building in Trenton for an election hacking bill. Will it have any impact on the 2018 elections?
Plus, if we build 900 plug-in vehicle charging stations, will electric cars come? And could rolling back banking restrictions lead us back to the bad old days of the Great Recession? Those stories and more next on NJTV News.
Live from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway Center in Newark, this is NJTV News with Mary Alice Williams.
Hello, thank you for joining us. Some provisions of the law put in place to prevent another global financial meltdown are being watered down in Congress in a way that's being met with relief in some financial quarters and alarm in others, concerned it opens the door for the predatory lending practices that led to the meltdown in the first place. Brianna Vannozzi reports.
Critics of Dodd-Frank have been working to roll back the regulation since it passed in 2010, put in place following the economic collapse of 2008. That's when big banks went belly up, markets collapsed, millions of homeowners fell into foreclosure and lost savings. The federal government stepped in, fronting trillions of dollars to stabilize the economy. Tuesday's vote is the first in what many expect to be more, dismantling the banking rule.
If you listen to the debate on the floor yesterday, Hensarling, who's the chairman of the committee, actually said we should get rid of Dodd-Frank. He literally said that Dodd-Frank was going to lead to a financial meltdown, which is exactly the opposite.
The bill, called the Economic Growth, Regulatory Relief, and Consumer Protection Act, includes a number of provisions. But the biggest change significantly eases regulations for many big banks by raising the threshold at which banks are deemed too big to fail. Banks with assets between $50 and $250 billion will be allowed to run with less regulatory oversight, like the annual stress tests. The argument is, though, that smaller banks, those with less than $10 billion in assets, will be freed of some rules entirely, like the Volcker Rule, which discourages risky trades and critics say stymied growth. Overall, most of the 2,300-page Dodd-Frank Act remains intact, most notably keeping the watchdog Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in place.
March of 2008, New Jersey had 135 community banks headquartered here in the state. Today, at the end of March 2018, we're down to 81. And a lot of that is attributable to the regulatory burden that they were facing.
Bankers and conservatives welcomed the changes. Republicans overwhelmingly supported the bill, but it got a rare bipartisan backing on the Hill. 33 Democrats voted in favor. In New Jersey, Democratic Representative Josh Gottheimer crossed party lines for a yes vote, in a statement saying it'll provide targeted relief to community banks and credit unions around the country, helping residents of the 5th District by spurring business growth and expanding access to credit and loans, while protecting the key safeguards in place. Republican Leonard Lance echoing that thought. Community banks had nothing to do with the 2008 financial crisis, but have been forced out of business across New Jersey because of one-size-fits-all regulations.
The bill eliminates transparency when it comes to data reporting. The Home Mortgage Data Act requires banks to report to their regulators and make public information about who they're lending to, where they're lending, and how much they're lending. With that information, the regulators, the press, and organizations like ours are able to track trends in lending, and we can see where there are discriminatory practices. We can see where redlining continues to persist.
Critics like watchdog New Jersey Citizen Action call it a giveaway.
So we're talking about expanding the pool of too big to fail, which we know led to taxpayers picking up a very large tab.
There are hundreds and hundreds of rules that came out of Dodd-Frank. No one specific rule in and of itself is a tremendous burden, but when you put them all together, particularly on a small community bank that may only have a small staff of people, it just buries them.
For better or worse, many see the vote as the beginning, not the end, of a Dodd-Frank legislative rollback, with President Trump all but certain to sign when it hits his desk. For NJTV News, I'm Brianna Vannozzi.
Some 2 million customers across New Jersey could be paying a bit more for electricity to help support nuclear power plants owned by PSEG. The utility claimed cheap natural gas made their plants unprofitable. So state lawmakers rushed to the rescue with a bill Governor Murphy has now signed into law. Senior correspondent Brenda Flanagan reports.
Wow! What a day!
Sponsors cheered after a long and radioactive political war finally ended with Governor Murphy's signature on a two-bill package. The more controversial guarantees Public Service Enterprise Group up to $300 million a year to subsidize its Salem and Hope Creek nuclear power plants at an average cost of $40 per ratepayer. Without that, PSEG had threatened to shut down its nuclear fleet in New Jersey and put up to 5,800 people out of work.
To reach our clean energy goals, we will need to keep these plants open and safely operational. They not only produce 40% of our power, but over 90% as of today of our clean energy.
And it's zero emissions. So let's fast forward and what would happen without this if those nuclear plants were closed.
PSEG argued its plants needed subsidies to remain profitable. The other bill Murphy signed promotes New Jersey's renewable energy portfolio, requiring 3,500 megawatts of offshore wind power by 2030 and establishing a community solar energy program, among other initiatives. In fact, the signing ceremony occurred at a South Brunswick solar energy farm.
When we started the process, we all said that when it's done, we want legislation that is greener than Ireland. And what do we have? Greener than Ireland.
Getting here cost loads of lobbying cash and political capital as special interests clashed. Many consumer and environmental groups claimed the clean energy bills merely provided safe cover for a fat corporate giveaway, and South Jersey lawmakers saw 5,800 jobs on the line. In the end, they hugged and praised each other. Senate President Steve Sweeney was even careful not to cuss.
It's a great day. And again, it didn't come without a lot of hard work. And when people hear, oh, we can't get along, can't get things done, that's just bull. You know, the process is the process. I didn't use the other word, Governor. If you weren't here, I would have used the other one.
PSEG CEO Ralph Izzo said in a statement, these new laws will preserve and create good-paying jobs and spur billions of dollars in investment in clean energy and energy efficiency across the state, and will help preserve nuclear energy. But critics charge there's not enough oversight, leaving ratepayers vulnerable.
It's a $300 million subsidy per year coming from us, or a $40 household tax, that there's no demonstration that they need it. Ralph Izzo himself said that the plants are making money.
The ratepayer will be well represented. And I think there are a lot of safeguards in this bill that will prevent some of the sort of general swirling around. The money's going to go out of state. The ratepayer won't have representation. They'll get the subsidy even if they don't need it. None of that is true.
But wait, there's more. The governor also signed an executive order calling for a master plan to make New Jersey 100% clean energy by 2050. The plan's due in a year. In South Brunswick, I'm Brenda Flanagan, NJTV News.
The driver of the school bus involved in last week's fatal crash on Route 80 had a history of motor vehicle violations dating back to 1975, including 16 driving violations, half for speeding, and 14 suspensions of his license, most for parking violations or administrative issues. The State Motor Vehicle Commission says none of those things disqualified 77-year-old Huddy Muldrow Sr. from driving a school bus, and he did not have any points on his license at the time of the crash. The investigation continues, but law enforcement officials say Muldrow may have been attempting an illegal U-turn on I-80 when he collided with a dump truck, killing Eastbrook Middle School teacher Jennifer Williamson and 10-year-old student Miranda Faith Vargas, and injuring many others. Days later, the National Transportation Safety Board recommended New Jersey require school buses to be equipped with lap and shoulder seatbelts. Earlier today, Governor Murphy addressed that issue.
We've already got really good seatbelt laws relative to almost any other state in the nation. My guess is that we could see that even getting further. Would you agree?
Yeah, Governor, we're going to have the Transportation Committee meet and look at what's going on around the country, and there's a lot of questions, and we can always strengthen our laws, and we intend to do that.
Current state law only requires lap belts in school buses, and Senator Sam Thompson had previously sponsored legislation to require 3-point seat belts. Energy efficiency tops the state of New Jersey business. Standing by at the Strategic Development Group studio at the NJCU School of Business is Rhonda Schaffler. Rhonda?
Mary Alice, state lawmakers are trying to encourage New Jersey drivers to go green. The Senate Environment and Energy Committee this week heard testimony on 2 separate bills. One would require state agencies to come up with a plan for a statewide network of public charging stations for electric cars. The legislation seeks to have 900 public plug-in vehicle charging stations within 2 years. And the other bill would provide a $5,000 rebate to residents who switch to zero-emission vehicles. The state would provide up to $100 million a year for 3 years for those rebates. New Jersey may have won its Supreme Court case to legalize sports betting, but it was an expensive fight. And now State Senate President Steve Sweeney is thinking about ways to get some of that money back. Senator Sweeney says he's exploring a possible lawsuit against major sports leagues so the state can recover legal fees and lost tax revenue.
I think it makes sense. You know, they've cost us roughly $10 million in legal fees, but they actually cost us hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue from blocking us for all those years. So, you know, they're the things we're looking at right now.
Sweeney says he wants to talk to both Governor Murphy and the Assembly Speaker about possibly pursuing that suit. The chairman of the State Casino Control Commission is optimistic sports betting will be good for Atlantic City's casinos. James Plosis made those comments after the city's 7 casinos reported a drop in gross operating profits for the first 3 months of the year, profits falling 11.7%. Plosis believes sports betting and 2 new casinos will attract more visitors to Atlantic City. The decline in the first quarter profits comes after a strong year for the industry. In 2017, casino profits were up more than 22%. Finally, a product recall to tell you about. Stop and Shop has voluntarily pulled 16-ounce packages of frozen broccoli from its shelves because of concerns of possible Listeria contamination. There have been no reports of illness, though. The affected packages are labeled private brand frozen broccoli cuts. On Wall Street today, stocks closed modestly higher. The Dow rose 52 points. And those are our top business stories.
Governor Murphy's reversed Governor Christie's decisions numerous times, but one he's considering at the Port Authority has even his most stalwart supporters concerned. Senior correspondent David Cruz reports.
Most of the lawmakers who were there when the George Washington Bridge lane closure scandal was sucking up all the oxygen out of the state would just as soon forget those days. While several lawmakers have been trying to revive a Port Authority reform bill, Governor Phil Murphy confirmed that he is considering reinstating the position of Deputy Executive Director at the Port Authority. The position has been vacant since the agency began to try to reform itself in the wake of the scandal, but you may remember the most notorious occupant of that position.
There are 12 lanes on the upper level of the George Washington Bridge.
Yes, Bill Baroni, the Christie appointee, who, along with his subordinate and fellow Christie appointee David Wildstein, concocted the plan to close the lanes at the GWB as an act of political retribution against the mayor of Fort Lee.
I wasn't there in 2013. I'm here in 2018.
That's Murphy defending the move this week after reporters asked him about it. He insists it's a good idea.
We think there's an enormous amount of opportunity to get 1 + 1 = 3 results. We can do well for both sides of the Hudson. Each of us can be better. And the extent to which New Jersey's got a full complement working with our New York friends the better the result will be.
Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg, who co-chaired the so-called Bridgegate Committee, says she was not consulted on the governor's recent decision. She says she's still focusing on reform at the Port Authority. And?
Well, I think the recreation of the executive director, the deputy executive director position is not designed to help that process continue.
Weinberg says she's proposing amendments to the current PA reform bill, which would create 2 liaison positions, unpaid and with no authority, who would monitor all of the agency's planning and policy implementation. She says a return to the Christie-era structure would be a bad move.
This position was eliminated, and it was eliminated for good reason. It set up almost 2 parallel governing bodies at the Port Authority, New Jersey and New York. That's what helped lead to it. Now, part of it was the inappropriate people who were there. Part of it was the atmosphere that governor set that enabled them or encouraged them to do the kind of things they did. But the other part is we should not have 2 individual operating structures.
Murphy, who insists the deputy executive director position still exists, got some support from another former Bridgegate Committee member from the other side of the aisle.
Traditionally, the deputy executive director position was held by a person who had New Jersey's interests first and foremost in his sight, and that's not a bad thing. We need the checks and balances that go along with having New Jersey's interests forcefully represented at the highest levels of the Port Authority.
Murphy says he hasn't thought about who he'd appoint to the position, but with all the uncertainty surrounding the budget process, it struck some observers as odd that he would bring this up now and give opponents something else to criticize. In Bergen County, I'm David Cruz, NJTV News.
The Department of Environmental Protection stocking up. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop, Long Valley, where 64,560 trout will be dumped into the Raritan. It's the longest river entirely contained in the state, and it's our hottest spot for trout fishing. Most of the fish, more than 40,000, will be heading for the South Branch. New Jersey's Division of Fish and Wildlife each spring stocks rivers, brooks, creeks, kills, canals, and Lake Apatcong with trout. A local favorite, one of the state's 2 fish hatcheries is dedicated entirely to trout, and hundreds of thousands of them are stocked in waterways across the state. Next to Pleasantville, where firefighters trained to save lives have completed training to save their own lives. Every member of the Pleasantville Fire Department has been equipped with an emergency bailout pouch containing a metal hook, a rope, and mechanical feeder to help them rappel down the side of a burning building when there's no other way out. The bailout training required 9 jumps, the last 3 blindfolded, to simulate zero visibility conditions. The new safety gear for all 42 firefighters was purchased with a grant from the Lieutenant Joseph P. DiBernardo Memorial Foundation. He was a firefighter who died jumping from a building after getting trapped. Finally, Newark mourning a literary titan. Prize-winning novelist Philip Roth has died, having etched into the national consciousness images of Newark and the Jewish American universe he inhabited, Sid's Hot Dogs, iconic Weequahic High School, and its godlike athlete, the Swede. Though his characters were unlikable, sex fiends, deviants, liars, cheats, he described his childhood as idyllic, and Chancellor Avenue, the big unclogged artery of his life. Roth's 28 novels were laced with autobiographical grace notes, among them Portnoy's Complaint, American Pastoral, and Goodbye Columbus, which made him America's most decorated author. Only the Nobel eluded him. The Newark-born narrator of Sex, Religion, and Mortality was 85. The corner where he once lived is now Philip Roth Plaza. And that's a Garden State Express for Wednesday, May 23rd. Something up in your neighborhood? Tip us off. For the first time in 22 years, the Newark School Board has chosen its own school superintendent. Newark native and longtime district administrator Roger Leon is the unanimous choice to lead New Jersey's largest school district. The state took control in 1995, citing underperforming schools and a culture of corruption, and only returned control to the locally elected board 3 months ago. Mr. Leon will take on an underfunded district where many schools are riddled with low test scores and graduation rates and high absenteeism. He'll take over July 1st and begin overseeing Newark's final transition to local control once his contract is settled. A competition to make coastal communities more resilient to monster storms. The State Department of Environmental Protection is inviting municipalities in the 9 counties swamped by Superstorm Sandy to compete for as many as 5 grants worth $200,000 each to address coastal and river-related flooding. Teams from community-based organizations, county governments, regional planning commissions, and utility authorities are also eligible for the Resilient New Jersey program grants. A panel of DEP experts will review and score the applications. How resistant are New Jersey's voting machines to hackers? That question was before an assembly committee looking into election security. Andrew Schmertz reports.
Lawmakers on the Assembly State and Local Government Committee heard once again just how good New Jersey's election machine security is.
New Jersey was one of 12 states to receive a D.
Daniela Root from the Center for American Progress was one of several election experts to highlight the key deficiency. The state relies only on touchscreen election machines that leave no paper record of votes.
Although it's good that New Jersey adheres to cybersecurity best practices related to voter registration systems, including training election officials and partnering with DHS to perform vulnerability assessments on election infrastructure, the state, as the chairman mentioned earlier, continues to use paperless electronic voting machines.
This week, the chairman of the committee, Democrat Vincent Mazzeo, introduced legislation to replace the old machines with new optical scanners, which includes a paper ballot the voter completes. His bill joins similar ones under consideration. The bill would require the state to purchase the new machines to be used in 3 counties for this November election, and then roll out the rest over 3 years. In introducing the bill, Mazzeo mentioned that he won his election to the Assembly by just 51 votes.
I saw the process in action, and I have to believe after 2 recounts that it is a good system. But having said that, I think that is it the best system? I think we have to look at that, and perhaps we have to look at a more secure system.
Princeton University professor Andrew Appel studies election machines across the country. He says most states have some sort of paper record of votes and have systems in place to randomly audit elections for accuracy. He says this is needed because computers can be programmed to cheat, and he demonstrated that he could write a program to do just that.
Voting computers are hackable. Computers connected to the internet, even directly, can be vulnerable to hacking from the internet. Computers are always vulnerable to hacking by people who have physical access to them, even for a limited amount of time.
The Brennan Center for Justice estimates that it could cost the state $40 to $60 million to replace all the machines. Some county clerks testified that each county should determine what system might work best for them, as long as there is a paper record.
The federal funding that was just made available, this is one of the things that it can be used for, is to replace equipment, and so if the state used it for that purpose, it would cover between 15 and 24%.
Everyone we heard from today agrees pretty much on this point. There needs to be a valid paper trail for the elections. So it appears that what's old is new again when it comes to counting votes. In Trenton, Andrew Schmertz, NJTV News.
And now some noteworthy facts that help you know Jersey. New Jersey's rate of home foreclosures, Reality Track says 1 in every 743 homes as of April. New Jersey is one of only 5 states that exclusively uses paperless voting machines. New Jersey's George Washington Bridge opened to traffic in 1931, and New Jersey's own Philip Milton Roth was born in Newark, March 19, 1933. If there's someone who you'd like to get to know Jersey, share. Use hashtag #NoJersey. Tomorrow on NJTV News, ahead of the holiday, the state of the shore. To share any story you've seen tonight, go to njtvnews.org. I'm Mary Alice Williams. For all the men and women of NJTV News, thanks for being here. See you tomorrow.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of New Jersey residents and businesses for more than 100 years. And Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
PSE&G is building New Jersey's clean energy future. We're working to protect our network against extreme weather, expanding and upgrading transmission lines, and modernizing our natural gas system by installing new, more durable underground pipes. At PSE&G, our goal is to make sure you have the safe, reliable energy you need to power your life now and into the future.
In every county across the state,
I do like that Horizon is a Jersey company. It's almost like a sports team. For us, it's like ours.
in sickness and in health.
You never think it's going to happen to you, especially being so young. Horizon has been there for me through everything I've been through.
With experience and stability, we're behind you.
You know, we're hardworking people in New Jersey. Horizon gets us.